Thank you very much, Pavel. Thank you very much, Pavel. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming today to this rather warm venue. I hope there isn't too much hot air to add to the warmth. It's a huge privilege and pleasure to be in Warsaw today and to be able to give a talk to such a distinguished audience under the sponsorship of demosEUROPA, which has, under Pavel's leadership, I think, established itself as a very important pan-European voice. Obviously an important Polish voice, but an important pan-European voice for a debate about Europe's future. And I think one of the things that I hope organizations like demosEUROPA can do is help develop more of a European demos, because the truth is that while we have a single market, while we have the free flow of people and goods, we don't yet have the sort of flow of ideas that I think is going to be important for Europe's future. And I hope that in a small way my speech today can help contribute to that. I think for obvious reasons, any visiting British Foreign Secretary coming to Poland is deeply conscious of the history between our two countries. It goes back a long way. I didn't know that Canute, that was the half-Polish king of Denmark, who in 1015 actually invaded England, bringing with him Polish soldiers and his mother, Princess Świętosława, who is buried in Winchester Castle. When I asked for a historical lesson from our ambassador, I didn't realize it would be a pronunciation test, but it has become such. The Polish king, Casimir the Great, in medieval times offered sanctuary to English Jews being persecuted in London and York. The English and Scottish Protestants who sought and received refuge here in the 16th century, and Scottish Catholics who settled in Chelmno in the 17th century. And yesterday, when I flew here from Northolt, I went past the very moving RAF memorial on the outskirts of London to the Poles who fought for the Allies in the Second World War. 200,000 Polish soldiers, airmen and naval personnel fought on the Allied side in the Second World War. And amongst them, the men who opened the door to Rome in May 1944 when they captured Monte Cassino, the crew of the Polish destroyer Błyskawice, which helped to defend Southampton from air raids, and the pilots who fought in the Battle of Britain. These are deep and real bonds that exist between our two countries. And I think it's also important to note that for me, this is a very personal story brought home to me by some of the visits I've done to the Jewish cemetery in Warsaw this morning, because I am one of the million Britons who has Polish blood. My father's parents lived in Poland, leaving the country at the end of the First World War. My mother was born here, her life saved by those who risked theirs, sheltering her from Nazi oppression. And after the war in 1946, she came to the UK. So I have come here today with something more than a sense of diplomatic interest. I've come with curiosity about the place where my grandparents and my mother were born, alongside an acute sense of the tragedy of terrible losses suffered during the Second World War. I come here too with admiration, deep admiration for the strength of the Polish spirit, the flame that continued to burn through 44 years of communism, and also a reminder of the enormous contribution that Poland has made to European culture. Copernicus's role in the Renaissance, the music of Chopin and Szymanowski, the films of Kieslowski and Wajda. And one of my reflections today is on the confidence with which Poland is asserting its place at the heart of Europe. Perhaps appropriately, given that this year we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Today, the UK and Poland stand as partners within a European Union of 27. A union that was born out of the ravages of the Second World War has been reborn, rebalanced and reborn since the end of the Cold War. An organisation which, despite its faults, and in Britain we're often reminded of its faults, is the most successful regional institution in the world. And it's telling, I think, that those who are near the EU want to join it, those who are distant seek to imitate it, and it is only those who are in it who seem to be sometimes indifferent to it. What I thought I would do this afternoon is talk about our vision in the UK for the EU and talk about how it can adapt to the changing circumstances that it faces. Pavel has said that you're an audience that will put up with a 25-minute speech or so, but only on condition that you're then allowed 25 minutes of questions. So I've promised to try to stick to that, more or less, that arrangement. The argument that I'm going to make today is quite a simple one. It's that Europe has been built on the combination of a social market economy on the one hand and liberal politics on the other. Secondly, I'll argue that both of those factors, the social market economy, the liberal Enlightenment politics, are under threat and need to be defended. Thirdly, I'll say that alongside continuity in advancing those ideas, Europe needs change. We need a compelling positive case for the European Union that outweighs what I would call the politics of fear that is peddled by Eurosceptics and put in its place a politics of European renewal.